We see them everywhere. The carefully staged tableau of enduring commitment, the glossy testament to shared survival. They stand in that light, bathed in the warmth of 20, 30, 50 years, the living proof that perfect partnership is not only possible but achievable. This is the anniversary photo, and it is perhaps the most profound psychological lie we collectively agree to believe. We are conditioned to see permanence, stability, and mutual adoration. We are trained to congratulate the performance. But if you peer closely, if you strip away the social media filter and the carefully chosen wardrobe, if you look beyond the smiles and into the psychological substructure of that coupling, Carl Jung warns us that we are not looking at a success story. We are often looking at a fortress of repression, a monument built on the denial of the deepest, darkest truths the couple refuses to face. This is the secret, the silent psychological contract that keeps many relationships intact, long after the emotional vitality has fled. This is the dark truth behind the anniversary photo. Jung, the titan of the unconscious, understood that the appearance of harmony is frequently a massive compensatory act for the actual, turbulent chaos simmering beneath the surface. He taught that every individual wears a mask, a sophisticated armor designed for social consumption. He called this the persona. The persona is the good husband, the perfect wife, the successful professional. It is the curated self we want the world, and often ourselves, to see. The anniversary photo is the annual, highly publicized affirmation of the couple's joint persona. It's the visual declaration, we are what we appear to be. But the problem, according to Jungian analysis, is that the more rigid, flawless, and seemingly perfect the persona becomes, the larger and more dangerously potent its counterpart grows in the subterranean landscape of the psyche. This counterpart is the shadow. The shadow is not simply badness. It is everything the conscious ego has rejected, repressed, or deemed unacceptable. It holds the traits we find vulgar, weak, needy, aggressive, or unacceptable in ourselves. If the husband's persona is patient and collected, his shadow holds violent rage and desperate insecurity. If the wife's persona is nurturing and domestic, her shadow might house ruthless ambition and sexual voracity. The persona and the shadow exist in a constant dynamic tension, and in the environment of a long-term relationship, this tension does not remain contained within the individual. It leaks. It projects. Tell me where you are watching this. Drop your city in the comments. I want to connect the universality of this profound psychological truth across all our locations. Now, return to the anniversary photo. This image is not just a snapshot of two people. It is a snapshot of two interdependent personas fighting for survival. The maintenance of this facade, the joint persona of the happy couple, demands an astronomical amount of psychological energy. And where does the repressed energy, the denied aggression, the unacknowledged lust, and the suffocated individuality go? It is stored, compressed, and subtly, devastatingly, projected onto the partner. Jung illustrates that the foundation of romantic love is fundamentally flawed because it is built entirely on projection. The process of falling in love is, in reality, the process of finding a suitable screen upon which to project your internal archetypes, the anima, the unconscious feminine side in a man, or the animus, the unconscious masculine side in a woman. You do not fall in love with the human being standing across from you. You fall in love with your own idealized unconscious self, draped over their form. The person is not seen as they are. They are seen as the perfect carrier of your unfulfilled potential and repressed desires. This initial projection is the intoxicating honeymoon phase. Everything they do seems flawless, synchronistic, and magical. They are a mirror reflecting your own inner ideal. But time, the ultimate destroyer of illusion, inevitably begins to chip away at the projection. The partner, being a real, flawed human being, eventually fails to carry the weight of the projected archetype. The animus image cracks. The husband realizes the wife is not always the gentle earth mother. Sometimes she is calculating and cold. The wife realizes the husband is not the unwavering hero. Sometimes he is frightened and deeply dependent. This moment of rupture, Jung argues, is the first true crisis of the long-term relationship. It is the moment the couple must confront a terrifying truth, the realization that they married a person, not a god. And this is where the dark secret is born. Most couples, faced with the terrifying reality of their partner's humanity, which often looks suspiciously like their own denied shadow, do not take the difficult path of integration. Integration requires introspection, accepting the flaw in oneself, and acknowledging the full, messy reality of the partner. It requires psychological maturity that few are willing to undertake. Instead, they choose the path of least resistance. They double down on the illusion. They maintain the persona. They sign the psychological contract of denial. The anniversary photo, therefore, often marks a yearly ritual where the couple reaffirms their commitment, not to each other's reality, but to their shared, perfected lie. The devastating consequence of this choice is that the repressed shadow material, now denied by both individuals, does not dissipate. It becomes the silent, toxic core of the relationship. It expresses itself indirectly, finding outlets that maintain the illusion of harmony while slowly eroding the foundation of trust and intimacy. This denial manifests in 4 profound, toxic ways that define the secret life of the anniversary couple. First, the hidden resentment. Because the partner is not allowed to be who they truly are, and because the self is not allowed to express the full range of its desires and flaws, a deep, continuous river of resentment flows underground. The wife resents the husband for forcing her to carry the persona of the nurturing domestic figure, even though she desperately wanted a career. The husband resents the wife for not fulfilling the sexual fantasy projected onto her, even though he never articulated that need, because it contradicted his own image as the pious family man. This resentment is too threatening to acknowledge, so it is buried, becoming the constant low-grade hum of dissatisfaction that neither person can articulate but both feel. It appears as passive aggression, snide remarks dressed as humor, or sudden, disproportionate emotional outbursts over trivial things, the perfect mask slipping for a lethal second. Second, the emotional distance. To prevent the shadow from erupting and shattering the carefully constructed reality, the couple must create significant emotional distance. True intimacy requires vulnerability, and vulnerability means dropping the persona. If you drop the persona, you risk exposing your shadow, and crucially, you risk forcing your partner to confront their projections. To avoid this nuclear confrontation, the couple stops talking about anything that truly matters. Their conversations become functional. Logistics, children, finances, logistics again. They inhabit the same physical space, but they become strategic strangers. They maintain separate, unacknowledged inner lives, fortifying their private psychological bunkers against the threat of authentic connection. This distance is the price of the photo's perfection. Third, the substitution of the shadow carrier. If the partner refuses to carry the denied shadow material, or if the internal pressure becomes too great, the shadow is projected elsewhere. This is the origin of the classic midlife crisis and extramarital affairs, though often in subtle, non-sexual ways. The man whose persona demands restraint projects his denied spontaneity and risk-taking onto a younger, carefree colleague. The woman whose persona demands domestic responsibility projects her unacknowledged ambition onto a charismatic political leader or a secretive hobby. The affair, whether emotional or physical, is often not about the third party. It is a desperate, unconscious attempt to integrate the denied self through a surrogate, maintaining the stability of the primary relationship, the persona, while secretly feeding the suppressed shadow. The anniversary photo ensures that this substitute relationship remains invisible. Fourth, the over-identification with the ideal. In advanced stages of denial, the couple not only suppresses their internal shadow but actively begins to believe the persona is reality. They become so rigid in their roles that they lose access to their own authentic psychological material. The husband is the provider. The wife is the caretaker. Any deviation causes profound existential anxiety. Their individuality ossifies. Jung warned that a psyche that loses its plasticity eventually breaks. The man or woman trapped in this rigid, perfect performance becomes emotionally stale, predictable, and ultimately psychologically brittle. The stability lauded in the anniversary photo is, in reality, a terrifying psychological paralysis. Jung's entire work suggests that the greatest human conflict is not between good and evil, but between consciousness and unconsciousness. In the context of the long-term relationship, the secret behind the anniversary photo is simply this: the ongoing refusal to bring the relationship's true, shadowy complexity into the light of consciousness. The couples that achieve true, sustainable connection, the ones whose enduring love is rooted in vitality rather than denial, are not the ones who maintain a perfect front. They are the ones who dared to destroy the initial projection, who survived the realization of their partner's flaws, and most importantly, who embraced the difficult task of integrating their own shadow. They understood that you cannot love another person completely until you accept the full spectrum of yourself. You must own your own dark traits, your own inadequacies, your own aggressions, so that you no longer need your partner to carry them for you. When a couple matures psychologically, the love shifts from a volatile projection into an integrated, reflective partnership. They are no longer two personas clinging together for validation. They are two whole individuals who have met their own shadows and still choose to stand together. Their anniversary photo, if they even take one, is not an affirmation of a lie. It is a quiet, steady acknowledgement of the battle they have fought and won against the tyrannical demand for perfection. They know that the true power of their longevity lies not in what the world sees, but in what they privately agreed to accept, the darkness within each other. The cost of maintaining the perfect facade is the loss of soul, the sacrifice of authentic selfhood on the altar of social approval. The perfect couple in the photo might have decades of shared history, but they often have 0 years of genuine integrated intimacy. They traded vitality for stability, depth for denial, and reality for the appearance of success. The applause they receive is for a performance that has cost them their true selves. This is the Jungian reckoning with modern romance. The relationship that endures by avoiding its shadows eventually becomes its own shadow, a hollow structure maintained by fear and obligation rather than genuine evolving connection. The path to lasting, vital love requires psychological courage, the courage to see the shadow, the courage to integrate the persona, and the courage to admit that the person you married is terrifyingly, beautifully, imperfectly human, just like you. If this idea, that true longevity is built on acknowledged darkness, resonates with you and challenges the way you view commitment, there is a simple truth we must establish right now. We need to create a community that seeks this level of deep, authentic understanding. The truth is always found by those who actively seek it. Now, for those who believe this exploration of the unconscious is essential for growth, type the phrase, "I acknowledge the shadow," in the comments below. Join this conversation and declare your commitment to self-awareness. You know that information this critical is not for everyone. Ensure you secure your access to this profound knowledge by hitting the like button on this video, signaling your dedication to the pursuit of deep truth. Press subscribe right now, joining the ranks of those who refuse to live on the surface, ensuring you receive immediate notification of the profound psychological insights we uncover together. We are only at the beginning of this journey into the depths of Jung's view on lasting love. The next part will reveal the archetypal structures that make the destruction of the projection inevitable, detailing exactly what happens when the honeymoon phase abruptly ends. You are not going to want to miss the unveiling of this specific mechanism of pain and transformation. Your life requires this wisdom. Secure your future clarity by subscribing immediately. The light catches the silver frame perfectly. A smiling couple, maybe 10 years into their commitment, holding hands, looking out at some distant idealized future. The lighting is soft, the clothes are elegant, the smiles are practiced and perfect. But if you look closely, if you strip away the layers of carefully curated sentimentality, you don't see two individuals celebrating love. You see two hostages celebrating their successful containment of a psychological bomb. That photograph, that polished monument to shared history, is the front line of an invisible war. It is the final desperate attempt to convince the world, and more tragically, to convince themselves, that the initial magical projection is still intact. The Swiss psychologist Carl Jung understood that falling in love is not an act of recognition. It is an act of profound self-deception. We do not choose a partner. We choose a carrier for our anima or animus, our inner, idealized opposite-sex soul image. This carrier arrives seemingly perfect, bearing all the unconscious, unlived potential we deny in ourselves. We don't see the person standing before us. We see the God, the muse, the savior, or the perfect complement we desperately need to feel whole. This projection is the secret energy source of the honeymoon phase. It is why the world seems brighter, why sex feels transcendent, and why the other person seems incapable of error. We are not loving them. We are loving the powerful, beautiful stranger we have placed inside them. The initial crisis in any long-term relationship, the moment that pristine anniversary photo begins to crack, is the moment that unconscious projection inevitably fails. It is the rude awakening that the person we married is in fact merely human, ordinary, frustrating, and incomplete. And this collapse of the ideal is universally experienced, though rarely understood. The devastating shift occurs when the weight of reality becomes too heavy for the projected fantasy to bear. Perhaps it is a mundane moment. The partner leaves socks on the floor for the 1,000th time, or reveals a startling incapacity for managing finances, or expresses an opinion that is shockingly provincial and dull. In that instant, the light dims. The golden halo we placed around their head flickers and dies. We look at them and feel a piercing sense of betrayal. But Jung would ask, who is doing the betraying? The partner is simply revealing their full human complexity, which was always there. The real betrayal is the failure of our own unconscious mechanism to maintain the lie. When this happens, the dynamic shifts from adoration to relentless scrutiny. Every flaw, every eccentricity, every inconvenient habit is suddenly magnified. The very qualities that were once charmingly unique, the intense focus, the dreamy distraction, the calm self-possession, are now reclassified as antisocial, irresponsible, or maddeningly passive. The person who was the perfect vessel for the anima now seems like a malicious saboteur of our happiness. This disillusionment is the first dark secret the anniversary photo attempts to bury. It is the terrifying realization that you are not and never were in love with the person you married, but rather the glorious phantom you superimposed upon them. The actual work of marriage, Jung says, only begins at the moment the projection collapses. And this collapse inevitably leads to the most painful psychological confrontation of all, the shadow. Every human being carries within them a shadow, the collection of undesirable traits, weaknesses, desires, and capacities that we have rejected, repressed, and denied in ourselves since childhood. In the early phase of love, we project our shadow onto the world, seeing it in our enemies or in strangers. But in the intense closeness of marriage, the shadow finds its most convenient and permanent carrier, the spouse. The qualities we find most maddening, infuriating, or contemptible in our long-term partner are, by Jungian definition, often the very traits that are most vehemently denied within our own psyche. The man who constantly complains that his wife is disorganized, irresponsible, and too emotional is often terrified of the emotional, spontaneous, and messy part of himself he rigidly controls. The woman who constantly criticizes her husband as rigid, emotionally unavailable, and too focused on work is often projecting her own unlived aggression, ambition, and capacity for emotional control onto him. The spouse becomes the living embodiment of our own unaccepted darkness. This is the psychological terror encapsulated in the anniversary photo. The couple is smiling, but what they are really looking at, day after day, is the person who reminds them, constantly and mercilessly, of the parts of themselves they hate the most. The fight over the dirty dishes or the forgotten appointment is rarely about the logistics. It is a desperate, unconscious battle to reject the shadow qualities the spouse is carrying. We fight them because they are showing us ourselves, and that mirror is intolerable. The confrontation with the shadow through the partner explains the viciousness of long-term marital fights. These conflicts often reach an irrational intensity, far beyond the triviality of the trigger. Why does a misplaced item lead to screaming about a 15-year-old slight? Because the fight is not between a husband and a wife. It is a brutal, life-or-death battle between the ego and the repressed shadow, using the partner as the battlefield. The words used, selfish, childish, weak, demanding, are not accurate descriptions of the partner. They are the exact traits the speaker's ego refuses to claim. The partner is effectively trapped in the role of the shadow carrier. If the wife suddenly tries to become more independent or ambitious, claiming her own shadow, the husband often reacts with disproportionate fear and aggression, demanding she return to normal. If the husband attempts to become more emotionally expressive or passive, claiming his own shadow, the wife might view this as weakness or a lack of masculinity, demanding he man up. This resistance is not born out of malice. It is born out of psychological necessity. The ego needs the shadow to remain externalized and contained within the partner. If the partner changes, The viewer is forced to reclaim that darkness and integrate it, a process Jung called individuation, and it is profoundly unsettling. The anniversary photo, then, is a testament to the success of this containment. The smiles signal we are still successfully holding our own darkness apart from ourselves, pinned onto the person standing next to us. But the pressure of this psychic containment is immense. It requires both individuals to participate in an elaborate, unstated contract, the agreement not to grow in ways that disrupt the other person's projection. This unspoken contract is the second dark secret. In the early stages of love, we celebrate the partner's potential. We say, "I love everything about you." But what we really mean is, "I love the potential I see for you to fill the gap in my own soul." As the relationship matures, the dynamic subtly shifts from admiring potential to demanding stasis. The partner must remain predictable, understandable, and manageable. Any significant change, a new career path, a sudden spiritual awakening, a transformation of hobbies, or even a change in political views, is experienced by the other person as a deep and fundamental threat, almost an infidelity. "You are not the person I married," is the mournful cry of the person whose projection has been ripped away. They are right. The partner is no longer the image. They are becoming themselves. The anniversary photo, with its insistence on permanence and stability, denies the essential truth of human experience: constant flux. Jung knew that a relationship that attempts to remain static eventually becomes rigid, suffocating, and poisonous. The love that once felt like liberation now feels like a prison. The partner, who was once the key to freedom, is now perceived as the jailer. This is why so many long-term relationships suffer from a profound sense of exhaustion and resignation. The energy required to maintain the lie, the performance of the ideal partner, the containment of the shadow, the suppression of personal growth, is unsustainable. Furthermore, the constant effort to contain the shadow in the partner results in a profound loss of authenticity. The man acting out the rigid, emotionally distant animus image for his wife becomes increasingly hollow, disconnected from his true emotional needs. The woman acting out the passive, nurturing anima image for her husband becomes increasingly resentful, disconnecting from her own assertiveness and ambition. When they smile for the anniversary photo, they are not smiling with joy. They are grimacing under the mask of their assigned roles they took on unknowingly in the intoxicating rush of the initial projection. This slow psychological erosion is what gives the most beautiful anniversary photos their underlying tremor of falseness. The couple looks happy, but they look strangely separated, sealed in their own compartments of mutual resentment and misunderstanding. They have traded genuine, messy connection for a carefully controlled coexistence built on denying reality. They prefer the stability of mutual projection to the terrifying instability of mutual authenticity. They cling to the image of us because the potential collapse would mean they would have to confront the entirety of their unlived, repressed selves, and that is a far heavier burden than any marriage can bear. And here's where the full psychological gravity of the situation hits. The pain and complexity captured in that seemingly simple photograph are intensified by the anima and animus withdrawal. When the projection cracks, we don't just see the partner's flaws. We feel the loss of that powerful inner figure. We feel psychologically diminished. The energy that once flowed through the partner, the projected anima, animus, now feels drained, leaving us feeling empty, depressed, or desperate. The crisis in the relationship is, therefore, an individuation crisis. The universe, or rather the unconscious, is forcing the person to retrieve their own projected potential. The task is no longer to fix the spouse, nor to force them back into the idealized role. The task is to say, the qualities I despise in you, and the qualities I desperately admired in you, are actually elements of my own totality that I must now integrate. This is the agonizing secret work of psychological marriage, and it is the only path toward genuine non-projected love. But most couples resist this process fiercely. They would rather fight, blame, and divorce, recycling the same unconscious pattern with a new person, than undertake the terrifying journey of self-integration. Divorce, in the Jungian sense, is often the desperate flight from the shadow, a refusal to accept the mirror the relationship has become. The next partner will simply receive the same freshly polished projection, destined to fail just as spectacularly a few years down the line. The anniversary photo, then, is a document of profound avoidance. The smiles are the avoidance of the self, masked by the performance of successful partnership. And as we consider this relentless pressure of performance, of maintaining the psychological lie year after year, it makes one wonder, what specific cities and environments are hosting this silent drama right now? It is fascinating to see where this unconscious battle is being waged. Tell me, as you absorb this profound psychological dynamic, I am genuinely curious. What city are you watching this from right now? Drop the name of your city in the comments. We are tracking this collective recognition of the self, worldwide. This intense psychological work, the reclaiming of the anima, the confrontation with the shadow, the painful integration of the unlived life, is the hidden substance beneath the facade of domestic tranquility. The anniversary photo might look like the culmination of a journey, but Jung argues it is merely the snapshot of a temporary truce in an ongoing battle. A battle not against the world or against infidelity, or even against financial strain. It is a battle against the ultimate enemy of the ego, the wholeness of the self. The greatest dark secret of the anniversary photo is that genuine love cannot exist until the projection is utterly destroyed, and that destruction is often mislabeled as the end of the marriage, when in reality, it is the only true beginning. The question remains, how many couples are strong enough to survive the death of the fantasy and embrace the terrifying reality? This discussion cuts straight to the core of why so many relationships feel like constant work. If this psychological truth resonates with you, if this explanation of the shadow and the projection has clarified your own relationships, here is what I ask you to do immediately. Acknowledge this realization. Go to the comments right now and write this exact phrase, "Projection is over." When you type that, you're not just commenting, you are actively initiating a critical shift in your own consciousness. Our community is built on this transparency, this raw psychological honesty. If you are craving more of these profound insights, the kind of knowledge that unveils the mechanics of your life and completely reframes your understanding of human nature, it is essential that you subscribe. Click that subscribe button and activate the notifications. It is the only way to ensure the algorithm connects you directly to the next level of power and self-mastery we offer. Do not wait for chance to bring you this clarity. Take control of your feed, take control of your knowledge. And if this message struck you, if this detailed, dense analysis was the wake-up call you needed, honor the effort and the depth of the research with a like. Every like is a signal that this deep work matters. And finally, you must prepare yourself for the next stage of this incredible psychological deep dive. We have explored the deadly projection and the terrifying shadow. Next, we will reveal the third and final dark secret, the profound cost of not integrating these elements. We will discuss the final, devastating transformation that happens to the self when the shadow remains externalized, and we will offer the Jungian strategy for finally moving from the role of psychological victim to the position of authentic wholeness. This is the truth that absolutely changes everything about your future relationships, and you simply cannot miss it. Be ready. The air freezes. The laughter dies in your throat. You look at the person across the table, your partner, the one you swore eternal love to, and you realize you are looking at a stranger. Not a stranger they became, but a stranger they always were, masked by your own fervent wishes. This is the moment the anniversary photo finally cracks not just a fissure, but a total catastrophic collapse of the photographic facade. We have spent the last two parts tracing the precise, terrifying blueprint of marital mythology, dissecting the psychological mechanism by which Carl Jung revealed that our most intimate relationships are merely stages for our own internal dramas, theaters where the shadow plays the villain and the anima or animus wears the disguise of the beloved. The dark secret, the repressed truth lurking behind the carefully curated smiles is this: the person we chose, the person we adore or despise, is fundamentally a screen onto which we project the unlived, unacknowledged aspects of our own soul. The anniversary photograph is not proof of love. It is merely a high-resolution portrait of our best performance. Now we must confront the final, ultimate cost of this deception and the radical, almost impossible step required to transcend it. This is the precipice of Jungian insight, the point where the personal drama merges into the inescapable process of individuation. The projection, the act of assigning your unaccepted darkness and your unrealized potential onto your spouse, has provided the initial intoxicating spark of attraction. But the nature of projection is that it cannot sustain itself. The illusion, by definition, must dissipate, usually right around the time that the initial passion gives way to the gritty reality of shared bills, mutual irritations, and profound silence. The relationship, once a sanctuary, morphs into a battlefield. Every flaw your partner exhibits is intolerable precisely because it is your flaw, disguised and reflected back to you. The spouse's carelessness is your own repressed desire for freedom. Their temper is your own unacknowledged aggression. Their perceived weakness is your own internalized fear of inadequacy. They become the scapegoat, the container for all the traits you have painstakingly amputated from your conscious persona. And as the projection solidifies, the relationship ceases to be a partnership and becomes instead a prison for two. The anniversary date, intended to celebrate a union, instead marks another year spent in mutual psychological bondage. The conclusion of this journey into the unconscious truth of partnership demands that we understand the catastrophic consequence of failure. When the projection collapses, the individuals often fracture. They look at their partner, the stranger, and blame them entirely for the destruction of the dream. This is why breakups and divorces, particularly after years of apparent stability, are so psychologically devastating. It is not just the loss of the partner that wounds. It is the instantaneous reabsorption of the shadow material that hits like a shockwave. Suddenly, the darkness they saw so clearly in their ex-spouse is homeless, demanding repatriation within the self. The individual is left not only heartbroken but profoundly psychologically disoriented, having lost the external container for their own repressed material. And what is the universal, tragic error made at this junction? The individual believes the problem was external. They assume they simply chose the wrong person. They seek out a new partner, a new face onto which they can immediately paste the same unexamined projections. The cycle restarts with renewed, ferocious energy, driven by the unconscious belief that the next persona will finally match the internalized archetype of the anima or animus. The new relationship begins in a state of manufactured perfection, only to inevitably crash onto the same rocks, usually with greater velocity and greater pain. The secret behind the next anniversary photo is the same as the last, an unintegrated shadow waiting for its inevitable return. This brings us to the radical, terrifying solution proposed by Jung, the integration of the shadow. There is no external escape. The only path forward is the psychological act of reclamation. You must consciously take back everything you projected onto your partner. If you accuse them of being too lazy, you must examine and accept the part of yourself that yearns for radical, unapologetic rest. If you rage against their infidelity, you must acknowledge the parts of your own desire that you have denied, repressed, or judged. This is not a moral failing. It is a psychological imperative. The integration of the shadow is not a gentle process. It requires confronting the monsters in your own basement, acknowledging that the villain in your marital story has been wearing your own face all along. It requires a profound, shattering humility, the realization that the persona you painstakingly constructed is a lie, and the shadow you despised in your partner is, in fact, the raw, essential material of your own totality. The relationship, in the Jungian sense, is an alchemical container, a crucible designed not to make two people happy, but to burn away the illusion of their separateness and force them into self-confrontation. The moment of true psychological freedom, the true climax of this narrative, occurs when you look at your partner, imperfections and all, and realize they are simply a human being. They are neither the god you worshipped at the altar of early romance, nor the demon you cursed in the throes of conflict. They are merely themselves, flawed and complex, and their flaws no longer hold the mirror up to your own repressed darkness. You have withdrawn the projection. You have reclaimed your shadow. This act of reclamation is the beginning of the individuation process, the lifelong journey toward becoming a complete, whole self. And here is the astonishing paradox. The relationship, once freed from the suffocating weight of projection, can finally, truly begin. The love that emerges after the integration is fundamentally different from the love that precedes it. The first love is defined by need, by the desperate desire for the partner to complete the self. The second love, the integrated love, is defined by appreciation. You no longer need them to carry your baggage. You appreciate them simply for being themselves, a separate and autonomous soul. This integrated relationship is quieter, less dramatic, and infinitely more resilient. It is not characterized by the ecstatic highs of projection-fueled infatuation, but by the deep, resonant satisfaction of two autonomous individuals choosing to walk side by side. The smiles in the new anniversary photos are not performances. They are reflections of a peace rooted not in mutual illusion, but in mutual recognition of imperfect reality. The darkness has been absorbed, the hidden potential unlocked, and the relationship, once doomed by projection, becomes the strongest possible vehicle for continuous personal growth. The courage required for this integration is immense. It is easier to walk away, to seek a fresh start, to find a new screen for the old movie. But Jung's wisdom assures us that true psychological mastery lies in staying, in confronting the reflected shadow, and in sacrificing the idealized image of the perfect partner for the difficult, rewarding reality of true selfhood. The purpose of the relationship was never the partner. The purpose was always the evolution of the self. The dark secret behind every anniversary photo is that until the shadow is integrated, you are not truly married to your spouse. You are married to your own unfinished business. The challenge now is to take this profound understanding and apply it, to stop analyzing the picture and start dissolving the lie. This wisdom requires action. Tell us right now, the one single phrase that summarizes this entire journey of the shadow, the persona, and the ultimate integration. Lock that phrase into the comments section below, affirming your commitment to this deeper truth and creating a lighthouse of insight for every single person arriving at this video. And if this complex, difficult journey into the depths of Jungian psychology has resonated with your own experience, demonstrating the undeniable value of facing these truths, then secure your place in this growing community of seekers. Hit the subscribe button now. Join us in this continuous exploration of the profound secrets that govern human behavior and destiny. Your action of subscribing is not just a click. It is an affirmation that you are ready to move beyond the superficial performance and into the realm of actual psychological strength. Press that like button, confirming the power of this revelation, spreading this vital knowledge so that others may break free from the cycle of projection and pain. Do not look away now. We have exposed the secret behind the anniversary photo, but the psychological landscape holds even deeper mysteries. Prepare yourself for the next revelation. We are about to strip away the deepest, most common deception that ruins success and sabotages potential, a deception you perform every single morning without even realizing it. The next truth waiting to be uncovered will fundamentally alter the way you view your own identity and your capacity for achievement. The next chapter in this series of psychological exposure demands your immediate attention, because ignorance, as we have learned, is the most dangerous form of psychological self-sabotage. Your journey into the deeper self is only just beginning.